Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have an update for you about my One Book July project, or rather my One Project July. If you haven't seen the intro video to my One Project July, you can go watch that. But basically what I want to do is create an Animal Crossing journal in the A5 size. Here's my existing Animal Crossing journal. It's in the B6 size. It's got a planner and it's got a notebook. And I explained in the old video that I wanted to merge these two together and design my own inserts to create a sort of Animal Crossing planner / journal and put it all into one and move up in size to A5. I have to be able to show you the progress that I've been making and the issues that I've run into. For I have run into some issues and I have some decisions that I need to make. That's all part of the project. So I can only show you how much I've gone so far. So with that being said, the first thing I decided in my previous setup video was I wanted to go into the A5 size, and I designed some inserts for that. Now, the next thing I had to decide was how to bind all of these A5 inserts together. Now, I had ordered something from AliExpress back at the end of April that I was hoping to use for my Animal Crossing journal. But you know, with the global pandemic, all of the shipping has been delayed, especially since my AliExpress order was coming in from China. April, I ordered it. May rolled around, June rolled around, July, the beginning of July rolled around, and I still hadn't gotten it yet. So I had to make a decision to a backup plan. And the backup plan was to use A5 rings, which is where this clipbook comes in. So this is a 6-ring binder in the A5 size. I did pick a clipbook because I figured that this is more compact than an actual A5 binder. It still has the rings, but it's very kind of bare bones. It's more like a notebook with rings. There's no pockets or anything. You can fold it backwards like this. And here's the top. That's how it looks. And it lays somewhat flat. I wouldn't say totally flat. And it's in the color duck egg. But unfortunately for me, the day before this arrived, my AliExpress order arrived. So my next decision was, which one do I use? Do I use my AliExpress item or do I use this clipbook? And I decided to use my AliExpress item. Here's basically what it is, a plastic centipede. But it is a binding system. You pinch these together and it forms a ring, and then you close it and you can hole punch it and put papers inside. And so I've decided for now that I'm going to use this. But when I show it to you, I'll explain why I may go back to this clipbook later. So the main reason I wanted to use the AliExpress binding, this plastic binding, was because I could fit it inside my leather covers. So this is by Lady Falcon Travelers. It's in the A5 size. It's their hobo cover. So it's a hybrid between a folio and a traveler's notebook. And here is my Animal Crossing journal. So it's been tucked into the back of this folio like this. And I just used a very rough piece of cardboard here. It's actually in the back of a tissue box. But it doesn't matter, that's just temporary. You can see now that the rings here are like this. They're pretty narrow too, so it's not like it holds too much. But because these rings are small, it allows it to be fitted inside a folio. Because the folio is meant for bound notebooks. It's meant for notebooks that don't have this extra ring space here. So it is already quite a tight fit when you put it, close it and put it like that. It doesn't stick out, but it's very flush. And the downside of this is that this ring binding doesn't hold that much paper. So that's why I'm thinking, if this expands a lot more, I would say that I could double the amount of pages that I already have in here and it'll be okay. But if there was any more than that, then I need to get bigger rings. And if I were to get bigger rings, then the clipbook would have to come into play. But for now, I'm going to use this because I like to use my leather covers as well. Whereas of course with the clipbook, then I'll just use it standalone I won't be able to fit it into here. So let's get into a walkthrough of this. The cover here is a clear plastic cover. It's actually made from a chopping mat that I cut down. And so is the back. If you can ignore this, this is the back. So I like this because it's clear. It's relatively cheap. I got it from the Dollar Tree, and it acts as a writing surface as well. So you can see it's a clear plastic. If I were to put it over this pocket here, then I wouldn't really feel the bumpiness of the pocket, and I would be able to write smoother. I did stick a magnetic bookmark here. This particular one is from Bidu & Co. And this is a drawing of Celeste. So I just thought it was really cute. I got it a couple of months ago, and so it had to go with my Animal Crossing planner. Now it doesn't really have any purpose other than to decorate the front, but I could definitely use it as a bookmark. So here we have the cover page of my planner / journal. I designed the logo here myself. If you can tell, it's very loosely based on the Animal Crossing logo itself. And Lotopia is my island name. It was established this year, 2020. I'm not really that good at Photoshop, but I'm good enough to do this, and I thought it worked just fine. As for the background, this is from the Animal Crossing website. So it's really a Nintendo image, and I figured that's okay because this is for my own personal use anyways. Before I get on to the rest of the planner, now's the time to mention another big issue I ran into as I was doing this. And to explain, I have two printers. One is an inkjet printer and one is a laser printer. So the inkjet prints in color and the laser prints in black and white. I used the inkjet printer to print this, but I also wanted to use it to print the rest of my inserts. And when I was printing the rest of my inserts, I noticed a problem with printing in color. When I get to a certain insert, I will explain a little bit more into the issue that I ran into. But just for now, the rest of the papers in this planner are all in the laser printer, which means they're all in black and white. I may eventually go back later if I stick with this binding format, print them in color once I figure out the color printer issue. And otherwise, I'm going to leave it black and white. So that being said, let's go into it. This is now still a work in progress. The back of this cover page is blank. The front of this first page was also blank. I did write down reference. I want to make another cover page that says reference. I just have to design it. So the first thing here is a little bit about my island. So the name is Lotopia. I started this game on March 21st. The native fruit is peaches. Native flowers is cosmos. And I decided to make a little small collage here of my OG villagers, Goose and Frida. There I have a little bit of space here where I can write a little bit more about the two characters. So here I wrote down Frida is dressed like a hot dog costume. And she's really sweet. Let me just center this a bit. The paper that I'm using to print on, by the way, is just some loose leaf Muji planted tree paper. I picked it because I want to use it up. I bought it already a long time ago. And it's also got a 5mm square grid. And that's great for having like a pre-printed grid because a lot of the times I need a grid. And so if it's already here, then I don't need to print it out. So back to this. Here we have a map of my island. This is a map of my island about a month into the game. Because when I first started the game, I didn't take that many screenshots. I didn't think to do that. And this is the first time I ever thought about taking a screenshot of the map of my island. But it's pretty much kind of true to the original layout of the island when I first landed, except there's got a lot more roads now and there's a lot more houses. But the river layout is pretty much the same. So once I get this into color, it's going to look a lot nicer, obviously. There's a lot of space here for me to write down significant dates, like the date the first Abel's sister shop opened, or the day the museum opened, or the day I got my first bridge. There's lots of space for that. And I did experiment with printing out some photos as well, but they are all in black and white right now. So let's flip to this page. Plenty of space for me here to put more photos and write more details, and I still have yet to do that. And here's an example. I printed this out. I used Canva, by the way, but I'm not sure if that's really the best program I want to use to lay it out, because it's really hard to get the right sizing in Canva, but I don't have a pro account or anything. And so here's the first one. So once I cut out this white space here, I can paste it onto here. It pretty much fits in with the border of this spread. So I think that it's going to look quite nice when I print it out in color. And then this photo here is half the size of this one. And I figure that, you know, I can put it like this. I can put this in the middle, or I can tilt it like this, something like that, and then just write a little bit something here. So I'm going to have to experiment with that. And that's the part that's still a work in progress. Next one, we get to the About Me page. The About Me is me as a character. I did name the character on my game the exact same name as myself. I gave her a look just like myself in real life. And so here, there's a spot for me to put the passport photo, the birthday. Now, I put my actual birthday in the game, the same as it is in real life. And I don't want to share that with the internet on this video, so I didn't fill this in. And same with the friend code. But if you do want to add me as a friend on Animal Crossing, then if you can contact me some other way, maybe tell me in the YouTube comments, then I can add you. I just don't want to share it to everyone. So next we have titles. Within the passport, you can change your title. And so I remember the first one I picked was Crafty Island Resident. So whenever I change the passport title, I'll write down what the title is there. And then same with nicknames. Nicknames are those ones that are given to me by the villagers. I remember the first villager who became my best friend on the island and gave me the nickname Goalie was Goose. And he's a jock, so that's probably why he called me Goalie. But I have had a number since. Recently I've been called Hero, Superstar, and Fabu. And then here on the other side of that page, I have a black spot. I'm going to break down things like hairstyle changes, when I found the glasses. Okay, when I found the glasses means, again, because this is me as a character inside the game and I wear glasses, I found the exact type of glasses in the game that I wear in real life. So once I found that, I just started wearing glasses in the game all the time, and I just like it because it looks kind of like me. And the thing is, hairstyle changes. I have blue hair in my game, but I don't have blue hair in real life. That's kind of the fun part of this game. And then there's a tool wheel, because I have set up my tool wheel to have certain spots where I put certain tools. So I just want to have it in here so I can remember it. So next we have a resident profile, because I did create other characters on my island, even though I'm playing those characters. So they do have their own profiles here. It's pretty much the same as this one. And I made up the birthdays, I made up the names. This is the second account. And then we get to villager history. The villager history is a list of all of the villagers who have come in and come out of my island. And when I first started the game, I didn't document it that much, the exact date that they moved in, and I didn't take screenshots, so I don't know when exactly they moved in. And this is roughly the same order in which they moved in. Next we have the villager profiles. So this is another detailed look at each of the villagers. And I picked 2 random villagers just as a start. I want to make one for every single one of my villagers, both those that have come and those that have already gone. And it would look much better if it was in color, but I did find this picture of Roald online, and I stuck him here, and then I just wrote down some details from him. I do want to change this in the future. I want to add a spot to write down or to check off if I've received his photo or not, because if you become good enough friends in the game with that villager, then they will give you their photo. and that's the sign of the ultimate friendship. And I did receive his photo. I just wanted to put the space here to write it down. And I also want to change this quote part because when I was filling this out, I feel like there's not enough space for the quote. I want to make it more space. And then here, there's some space for me to put a little bit about each villager. So here's another random villager. He's already left my island. I did like him a lot, and I did give him to someone. So later on, I'll write down who I gave him to. I just don't want to share that on camera. The next page is the price list. It's the same list that I had in my previous journal, but I just typed it up. I don't really know that it's that necessary any longer, but it is here, and I just typed it up just to show off the format a little bit. So on the back, I also have price list, but I left it blank so that I can add more resources, especially the fall and winter resources that haven't come out yet. Next, we get to the villager hunt spread. You know that a lot of gamers are hunting for a specific villager to go onto their island. They go to different mystery islands looking for that right villager. And so I've done that before, and this is my spread to document it. You have the date that you go on the hunt and the goal. So the goal could be you're looking for a specific villager like Raymond or Judy or whoever is popular. Although I don't really get why Raymond is so popular, but that's another story. Or I could put as a goal, I want a cranky villager, or I want a snooty villager. Then in this table here, you can write down the villager that you found, the island that you found them on, and some notes. Island number refers to a list that somebody made of all of the different mystery islands that you could possibly visit and their layouts. So I can link to that site below. Let me pause here and explain what I was mentioning before, an issue with me printing these into color, because this page is a good example. I did try to print this out in color, but when I print it out in color, let's just show you what it looks like. It's the same, right? It has villager hunt and all of the tables here, but you'll notice that the image is missing here. There's this black outline of a villager. It's Tom Nook, and it's not here. I also added like a drop shadow here at the back. So the drop shadow prints out, but not the actual kind of outline or silhouette of Tom Nook. Hopefully you can see the difference here. So I don't know why that when you print into color, it won't print this, because there's enough black ink, so it should print. And you'll also notice on this page, the background is missing. The background on this is all the same. It's pretty much faint here when you print it in black and white, but it all should be this kind of green background. But when I print it out, it doesn't show the green background or the black image. So I'm thinking it has a problem with the PDF, and the printer is not printing the images, it's only printing the text and the lines. So I don't know what's the problem with that. This is the first time I've run into this issue. So if you guys are watching, and hopefully you still are, and you have any insight into why it's not printing the images and just the text, then let me know. Okay, next spread, trades. Sometimes if I have extra DIY recipes and somebody else has a DIY recipe that I want, then we do a trade. So I can document the date, the name of the person I'm trading with, their island name, and some notes. What I traded for what. Okay, next we get into the notes section. So whereas each of these have a specific topic, this one is more generic. Instead of having trades here or the title here, there's like a box here for me to write the title. There's also a space here for me to write the date. So I'll flip the next page and I'll show you the filled in note. This one is for the Mermaid DIY set. And if you know that starting in July 3rd, they had an update to the Animal Crossing game where they added swimming. And you could make all of these recipes or get all of these recipes to make a mermaid furniture. So I've looked up online and I listed all of the mermaid furniture that you could get. Then I looked up all of the resources that you need to build them. And I listed it up here. And then you can see that if I have a mermaid bed, I need to have 2 pearls, a sand dollar, and a giant clam. So I was doing this in my other notebook as well, but with this one, because it has a grid, I can draw lines and I can write the date. It looks much nicer and cleaner, and I can see at a glance how much of each resource I need in total to get all of these DIYs. Here I have all these bullet points in the bullet journal style, where a dot means that I'm still looking for it, and if I have a check mark, it means that I found it and I've built it. Here I have some more mermaid items, which aren't DIYs, but items that you can get from Pascal. And I just have to write down that. I got the shoes the other day. I can cross that off. And then there's some space here. I could print out a picture and put it here, or I can print out a picture and put it here, just to make it look a little bit prettier. So here's another example. This is another direct copy from my old notebook, the Medio Nook Data. I decided to add circles here to represent checkboxes. I thought that might be more helpful. I could still do it this way by just handwriting the dots to check off, but I thought I'd try that. Now it doesn't really work on this grid paper because it's hard to line up the checkboxes with the grid. So I did reprint this on plain paper, and I added a dot grid. Hopefully you can see the dot grid. It's 5mm dot grid, so it's very faint, but that means I can kind of align the dot grid with the checkbox, and then I can use this as a note page. So here's an example of me using this dot grid checklist note page. I have the fishing tournament, which recently happened on July 11th. And then these are all of the rewards that you can get from the fishing tournament. And I wanted to make sure that I had all of them. So I looked all of these up online, wrote them down, and then whenever I got that prize, I would check them off. And then here I just made a little bit notes of, if you want to get the trophy, then this is how many points that you need to get. These type of things I could have typed up and made into a really pretty spread like this. But I feel like that for my purposes, I like to write things out. So I just really need a blank note page like this and a place to write it, and I'm good to go. Okay, so that's the last of the kind of reference section. And we get to the planning section. And this is a cover page. I'm probably going to redo this, but it just says monthly planner. And then we get to the monthly planner page. I forgot to show in the last video how my monthly planning pages look like, because I showed you this type of page, but at the front of this planner they do have these monthly calendars, and so I've been filling them out too. And so here we have like a calendar. Again, it's all black ink. On the bottom half of the box I write down the characters that visit, like the special ones like Celeste or Kix, and then at the top I write down other things. Like this one says Frida is in boxes because Frida was moving out. On the side here, there's a sidebar. So what I would put here is the fish that I had to catch in July so that I can donate them to my museum and finish off the collection. And so here's the new fish and here's the new bugs. And the new bugs in July were a lot, so it kind of spilled over to this side. It's the same with June. If there was a new fish in June, like this saddled Bashir that was introduced in June, and I didn't catch it in June, then what I would do is I would put the bullet journal symbol of migrate, and I would move it to here. And that's why it says saddled Bashir here, and I would carry forward just because I wanted to remind myself that it was in June. And there was another one, the giant trevally, which I only caught yesterday. And that was introduced in June. So that's what I was using here. So here on this side is the monthly calendar. It's now more like a bullet journal style. And this is more like a monthly log in the bullet journal, except that all the numbers are in the middle instead of on this side. And I could have created another calendar layout like this, but I'm just too lazy to do that. I've already done that for B6. I didn't want to blow it up for A5. And besides, if this doesn't work out, this clipbook that I just got has some calendar pages. Let's see. It has monthly calendar pages. So I could actually use this if I wanted to. This will fold out. I did put them in the middle because I want to recreate what I did here. On the left, on the left here, I'm going to put the things that happen at the top, and then on the right, I put the things that I write down here at the bottom. So here would be special characters, Red Flick Sahara, and then on the left side, it would be Frida in boxes, Marshall moves in, game update. Oops. Hopefully you can see that. And then on the left side, I put all the things that I had in the sidebar before, like fish I wanted to catch for August, and then bugs I have to catch for August. So all of this is available online. I'd rather do it this way, where I have the fish that I need to catch for the month, instead of having an entire list of all the fish, which I've seen online. And then in the bottom here, I have no clue what I'm going to put here. I'm still kind of working on it. It's still a work in progress, but this is what I've come up with so far. And then that brings me to the end of it. I did print out September on this page just because otherwise it'd be blank. But it's much easier to do the calendar because all I have to do is count the number of days instead of doing all these boxes and so on. So that's all I have right now to show you for my One Project July. My main struggles so far has been how to bind this, whether I want to stick to this type of binding or go to the 6-ring binding. The other struggle has been the printer and printing in color. For now, all I've done is pretty much the reference section and part of the planning section. The next part I'll have to get into is the journaling section and kind of transforming all of this into something nice and adding photos with color, adding markers and all of that. And so that's what I'm going to be working on next. Hopefully this was helpful. And now that I think about it, it's good that I have an update video. If I had done this all in one update, I don't think it would really work. So it's a great way to split up the video, as I tend to be very chatty anyways. I'm sure you have noticed. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.